Sound like 2019 over here right now, boy. Lord have mercy. Talk about power. God knows how to raise things up after they've been down for a while, right? I've gone through a period like that to where just didn't know how you're going to make it through, and all of a sudden God started kind of working some things out. Is there a witness in the house?
Yes.
He'll pick you up, turn you around, place your feet. Is that what you said? On a solid ground. Yeah. He will do that, and I don't know about you, but I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for God's amazing grace. And you know, sometimes I think it is vital for us to go through the ebbs and flows and challenges of life. It makes you appreciate the wonderful times a whole lot more, don't it?
Yes.
Yeah, because things don't always have to be like they used to be, and sometimes they ain't gonna ever go back to what they used to be, so you better be glad and seize the moment that you're in, because even that moment is by the grace of God. Amen?
Amen.
You know, as we make prayer, I want to remind you of not only those in our church family that we need prayer for, but you know, just society as a whole. There's a lot of things that have been going on all throughout the past 2 or 3 years. There's been a lot of hurt, a lot of suffering, a lot of different things that people have been trying to maneuver around. Bereavement, illnesses, ailments. I mean, ad infinitum, ad nauseum, just to all types of extents. And I have to admit, one of the things I wanted to do is to thank you all. Probably about 6 months ago, I was in a really, really bad place. Really bad place. And you all's patience was amazing as God maneuvered me through that season. And it reminds me of the fact of how critical life is at different moments. You know, you can always take things for granted as though everything's going okay, and then all of a sudden, and there's a shift. It's almost like an earthquake or something, and the plates of life shift so radically that nothing remains the same. And you have to readjust in life. And sometimes those readjustments can be very arduous and challenging and even misunderstood, and like, what in the world? And you just have to depend on the grace of God. And not only do large organizations or organizations such like this go into, but individually, we all go through ebbs and flows and seasons of life to which we have to try to learn how to understand and deal with the anomalies and the abnormalities and the ups and downs and the ebbs and flows of life, because they affect us. Amen? Amen. And sometimes we can have the tendency to disregard what's happening, even from a standpoint, I think especially mental illness. I think a lot of times when we hear about strokes, heart attacks, blah, 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 we see the outward effects of that a lot, maybe hospitalization, slowness and walk, or whatever the case may be. But a lot of times in the mental realm, you just see different things that look like frowns on the face or whatever the case may be, but you can't really pinpoint what's happening. And but they're not to be disregarded by any stretch of the imagination, because let me tell you something, mental illness is on a spectrum. And it is real. It is real, and it can come real at no matter what age you are. Let me tell you something, and if you don't take it serious, there are consequences to those situations. I can honestly say that my state of mind now is probably 100% better than it was 6 or 7 months ago. And I give God the glory for that, because there was a myriad of things that my family had to understand, church had to understand, I had to understand, my doctors had to understand, my medication I had to understand, they had to work. Right. I put that pill and I said, you gotta do your thing here. I need you. I'm trusting you to handle this little part right here. I got this other stuff, but you pill, you gotta do your stuff. Yeah, and even though I sound a little comical about that, the reality of it is life goes on with chemical reactions and things like that, and you really need to understand the seriousness of those. so that you can know how to modulate life along with people and those types of things. And that's it. And as we approach this time of prayer, I just want you to be prayerful for families, for people, for churches, for people who are dealing with all manner of situations. Because sometimes I don't think that we're sensitive enough to where people are. And we can become very judgmental without really understanding really what's happening. So if you would join me, those of you who want to join me around the altar as we go with the Lord in prayer, there's nothing else we want to do. We want to pray for the spirit of discernment of the saints of God, so we may understand how to go in and out amongst the people in these days and times. Those types of things that can cause us to be valuable to others in the midst of their storms of life, no matter what their storms are. If you'd like to join us around the altar, we invite you to come as we go before the Lord at this point. Won't you stand and won't you come?